Tales of the Jedi dropped on Wednesday, giving us a deeper look at two of our favorite Star Wars characters, Count Dooku and Ahsoka Tano. We've already made a video discussing the Dooku episodes, as well as a spoiler-free review. Make sure you check that out if you haven't already, it's definitely worth the watch. Today we're going to round things out with a deep dive and breakdown into the Ahsoka episodes, talking plot, references, and some Easter eggs that you may have missed. To give you a few of my first impressions on her 3 episodes, I thought they were generally weaker than Dooku's. That's not to say I didn't enjoy them. We've just seen far more of Ahsoka's backstory on screen than the Count's. I'm much more looking forward to what we'll see from Ahsoka in her own live-action series next year. I just feel like there's more to tell with her around the time of The Mandalorian. But like I said, her episodes were not bad by any means. There was a fair bit of discourse over on Twitter regarding retcons from the E.K. Johnston canon Ahsoka novel in episode 6. I can't speak too much to that as I haven't read it, but Dave Filoni seems to have confirmed that it was the same story. But regardless, that's not the overall topic of this video. We're here to talk about Ahsoka's 3 episodes. With that being said, spoilers are of course ahead in this video for all 6 episodes of Tales of the Jedi. Beginning with Ahsoka's first episode, Life and Death. I'll be honest, we aren't going to spend too much time with this episode, as there really isn't a ton to talk about. It was fairly skippable. The episode was about a young baby Ahsoka. So we of course head to her Togruta village on the planet Shili. It seems that Ahsoka has just been born, as her mother Pav-Ti gives her her name. Pav-Ti was actually voiced by Janina Gavankar, who also portrayed Iden Versio in Star Wars Battlefront 2. We also meet Gantika, the elder of her village. We make a bit of a time jump after the title card. Ahsoka is now about a year old. Her dad Nakil asks Pav-Ti if she's sure that Ahsoka's ready for a certain custom, which turns out to be a hunt. Pav-Ti reassures him and grabs a rifle, which looks incredibly close to a cycler rifle used by the Tusken Raiders. Not sure if it's intentional, but pretty cool nonetheless. On their way out, they run into Gantika, who wishes them luck and puts some sort of blue war paint on their foreheads, saying something in Togruti. Now in the forest, Pav-Ti explains to Ahsoka that life is everywhere and it must be valued and honored. We can definitely see the similarities in the mother and daughter. One thing I mentioned in the Dooku video is just how good the animation looks in this show. And a very simple example are these dandelion-like seeds. I know it's such a small thing, but Star Wars animation has come really far. I really noticed it in the next episode as well, when it comes to Jedi robes and clone armor. It's just so crazy to see how far things have come from the inconsistencies of the first seasons of Clone Wars. Anyways, Ahsoka and Pav-Ti overhear an animal and begin to slowly approach. They find 3 of these goat-like creatures called Kaibuks. Pav-Ti aims the rifle and takes one down. Her and Ahsoka approach, and it's still barely alive. Pav-Ti forces Ahsoka to look, saying she must face death and not fear it. Pav-Ti pulls out a knife and finishes the job right in front of her. Aren't all family traditions just the best? As they prepare to bring the animal back to their village, something that resembles a saber-toothed tiger sneaks up on them. Pav-Ti tries to scare it and then fight it off, which isn't working too well. Eventually she is knocked down. Before Pav-Ti and some villagers who overheard the commotion can do anything, the saber-tooth grabs Ahsoka and takes off into the woods. The beast puts Ahsoka down and starts licking its wounds. When she sneezes, it sees it as a possible sign of aggression. The tiger's about to make Ahsoka a light snack when she stops it by putting her little hand on its big nose. We cut back to the village where the males who have been searching have found no sign of Ahsoka. That's when we hear a roar and the tiger approaches with little Ahsoka riding on its back. What's actually going on here is Ahsoka is using a force ability known as beast control. This is the same ability Anakin Skywalker used in Attack of the Clones on the Reek in the Genoshan arena. The ability allows the user to mentally connect with animals. The tiger leaves and everyone celebrates Ahsoka's safe return. Pav-Ti asks Gantika how this could happen when Gantika calls Ahsoka a Jedi. Of course, we know from Clone Wars that in a couple of years' time, Plo Koon will come and get her and take her to the Jedi Temple. We now jump all the way to episode 5, Practice Makes Perfect. Of course, episodes 2 to 4 were focused on Count Dooku, which we discussed in our last video. We head to the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. We see Anakin running through the halls. He heads to a training room where we also see Deba Billaba and a young Caleb Doom, or Kanan Jarrus. as well as Mace Windu, Plo Koon, Yoda, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, who remarks that Anakin is late. They're all observing Ahsoka, who's training against 4 training remotes. Supervising is Tara Sinube, the Jedi who helps her find her lost lightsaber in an episode of the Clone Wars. A force field lowers and the droids have these more advanced blasters pop out. Obi-Wan explains to Anakin that these are new training remotes designed to simulate battle droids. The drill begins with the walls slowly closing in and the droids attacking. Ahsoka is, however, able to make very quick work out of them, especially impressing Caleb Doom. Obi-Wan calls her efforts impressive, while Anakin just sighs. Ahsoka asks him for any feedback, but he just tells her that she doesn't want to know. They head out into the hall, where we see Master CSE Tin and Ima Gun die. Anakin pulls her to the side out of earshot, and basically says, yeah, you did great, but that test sucks. Ahsoka says it's the same one every Jedi takes, to which Anakin says, exactly, that's the problem. He says if she wants a real test, he'll make her an actual one, as Obi-Wan and Yoda observe from afar. Ahsoka arrives on an LAAT gunship. Anakin tells her that she's late, in a nice little mirror to he and Obi-Wan earlier in the short. They head inside, where we see our boy Captain Rex, along with some other Phase 1 clone troopers. Anakin has Ahsoka head to the center of the room, surrounded by clones who've set their weapons to stun. Anakin tells her that droids are predictable, and he wants her to be prepared for anything. Ahsoka prepares, as Anakin tells her to remain calm and feel the intentions of the trooper who will fire first. The test begins with Ahsoka holding her own. She manages to deflect 5 or 6 shots before being stunned and going out. Anakin and Rex wake her up, saying she was out for an hour. Rex mentions that it was none other than Jesse who got her. All that sadder when you realize during Order 66, he was leading the clones who were actually trying to kill her. Ahsoka gets up and prepares to go again, lasting even less long this time. We cut to a compilation of Ahsoka continuing to do the test over and over again. Rex remarks that he's not sure how much more she can take. Anakin assures that she's fine. Ahsoka calls the test ridiculous, saying the droids aren't half as good as Rex's men. Anakin says that's exactly the point. He wants it to be difficult. As her master, the best way he could protect her is to teach her to protect herself. If she can hold off Rex and the boys, she'll be ready for anything on the battlefield, at least with a blaster. Ahsoka takes the test one more time, going down once again. However, this time she wakes up and there's clearly been a time jump. Rex and the clones are now wearing their Phase 2 armor, which they switched to around halfway through the 3-year-long war. Ahsoka is also wearing the outfit she wore during the later Clone Wars seasons, and has her secondary Shoto lightsaber. Anakin is also sporting his later Clone Wars look. Ahsoka lasts much longer this time, even pulling out a familiar spin move that we'll get to in a minute. It seems that she's nearly mastered this test before Rex takes out his blasters and gets her. This time, when she comes back, we're seeing an alternate viewpoint from the Clone Wars Season 7 finale. A very emotional one at that. Of course, by now, Order 66 has been enacted, and to survive Order 66, Ahsoka used those very spins and other moves that she learned from Anakin's tests to survive Jesse and the 332nd clones. We're in a hallway on the Jedi cruiser with Ahsoka and Rex, who has had his inhibitor chip removed and is on Ahsoka's side. Rex says he hopes all of that training pays off, and she walks into this scene from the Clone Wars.
Hang on, we have Tano and the commander. Send all remaining troops to my position. I said hold your fire, Jesse.
Now heading into episode 6, the final one, titled Resolve. We begin on Naboo with Dave Filoni again tugging on our heartstrings. It's the funeral of Padme Amidala, which we did also see in Revenge of the Sith. Among the crowd is both Bail Organa and Mon Mothma, who we've been talking about a ton in our Andor breakdowns. Shameless little plug, we couldn't resist. But hidden amongst the crowd is Ahsoka. We know her and Padme were close friends throughout the Clone Wars. They do obviously have a mutual connection in Anakin. Bail notices her, and she disappears. He finds her in a hallway and tells her she shouldn't be there. There's nothing she could have done for either of them. He asks why she risked it. Ahsoka simply says, she was my friend. The two have to take off as a patrol is approaching. It's revealed to be 2 Imperial clone shock troopers. Shock troopers serve not only as the Coruscant Guard, but also an escort for diplomats and Palpatine himself. Bail and Ahsoka head by the river, where he gives her a comlink, saying to contact him if she needs anything. Ahsoka says no, she's tired of fighting. The clone patrol arrives and Ahsoka has to hide. They ID Bail, as Ahsoka is perched on the rooftop above. Bail is told that the area is off limits. Speaking to the clones, but really Ahsoka, he says they have a duty to uphold, when they're able, and if they ever need him, to contact him. The troopers shrug it off and escort Bail away. Ahsoka heads to find Rex. They're still flying that Republic Y-Wing from the Clone Wars finale. We now jump forward to Ahsoka working at a small farm. A brother and sister are arguing about how high they can stack hay bales on a trailer. Sure enough, when a droid puts one too many on, they fall over on top of the sister. Ahsoka uses the Force to save her life, but in doing so, reveals herself. Thankfully, only the sister notices. This really reminded me of when Cal Kestis used the Force to save his friend on a construction job in Fallen Order.
You okay, bro?
I'm alright. I'm just pinned down.
And they are both going to see similar results to their actions. The workers are all eating their lunch when the sister invites Ahsoka to join them. Ahsoka is using the cover-up name Ashla, a clear reference to her real-life voice actress, Ashley Eckstein. The conversation turns to the Empire. The brother is clearly a big fan of Emperor Palpatine and doesn't see the evil within his regime. That night, Ahsoka and the sister are talking about bringing in the harvest the next morning. That's when the sister calls Ahsoka Master Jedi, saying she saw. Ahsoka denies it, but the sister says her secret is safe. However, the brother is eavesdropping from afar. As they depart with the harvest the next morning, the brother tells them, "May the Force be with you," clearly alarming Ahsoka. When they return that night, they come back to a burning village. An Imperial Inquisitor has arrived, who we believe to be a redesign of the sixth brother from the Ahsoka novel and Darth Vader comics. The Inquisitor is angry that the Jedi reported isn't there, and he's about to kill the brother, who obviously reported Ahsoka. When he goes for the kill, Ahsoka force pulls him out of the way. That's when the Inquisitor realizes who Ahsoka is, and activates his second lightsaber blade, approaching. Now we know Ahsoka does not have her lightsabers at this point in the timeline. She left them at the crashed Jedi cruiser at the end of Clone Wars, in order for the Empire and Vader to assume she had died. The Inquisitor attacks, but Ahsoka uses a familiar sequence of moves, as pointed out by a few people on Twitter, to catch the lightsaber hilt, deactivate a blade, and kill the Inquisitor. She beheads him, and his head almost seems to deflate. Pretty cool, but what? Was he a ghost? Now what Ahsoka's more than likely going to do with this lightsaber is purify the crystals and turn it into her white lightsabers that we see in Rebels and The Mandalorian. The brother apologizes, and Ahsoka says they're all going to have to leave now. The Empire will send more, but to where? Well, Ahsoka uses that communicator to call Bail Organa, who arrives on a Corellian corvette, the same ship as the Tantive 4 from A New Hope. It could even be that exact ship. Bail allows the villagers on board. Kinda sad when you think of it. He's probably taking them back to Alderaan, and we all know what exactly happens to Alderaan. Bail asks Ahsoka if she's sure she's ready to get back into the fight, and she nods to close out the episode and the series. So that's it for Tales of the Jedi. Like we said, we already gave a bit of a review in our Dooku breakdown video, but now I'm going to go ahead and give my ranking for the 6 shorts. Again, there weren't any bad episodes, but I definitely enjoyed some more than others. In the 6th place spot, I have to put episode 1, Life and Death. It was cool to see how Ahsoka's abilities were discovered, but it was generally the most skippable episode. Now much further up at 5, I have episode 6, Resolve. I liked seeing Ahsoka more in the immediate fallout of the Clone Wars and interacting with Bail, but I think the Inquisitor left more to be desired. He looked cool, but didn't get enough screen time and was dispatched of so quickly. Now these two are kinda neck and neck, but at number 4 I have episode 2, Justice, and at number 3 I have episode 3, Choices. Both were really solid Dooku episodes, showcasing reasons as to why he left the Order. I absolutely loved seeing a young Qui-Gon, as well as how his views contrasted to Mace Windu. At number 2, I have episode 5, Practice Makes Perfect. I'm a real sucker for the old Clone Wars vibes with Anakin, Rex, and Ahsoka interacting, and the whole idea that Anakin was the one who trained her to survive Order 66, and that event was his doing. But in the end, my number 1 was undoubtedly episode 4, The Sith Lord. The tie-ins with The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, with references to Maul, Qui-Gon, Dooku, Delaney Camino from the archives, and probably the biggest reason, the entire Dooku-Yaddle duel with Palpatine looking on. This episode gave me exactly what I wanted in a Dooku backstory. But how would you rank the 6 episodes of Tales of the Jedi? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give the video a quick thumbs up as well, and check out our Dooku video if you missed it, or one of our other videos on the screen right now. Our Andor Episode 8 breakdown is coming real soon. Subscribe to catch that and more Star Wars content. But until next time, thanks for watching and may the Force be with you. Red 5, standing by.